Hello. I am trying something out with this episode and calling it Memory Mondays, where I'm doing maybe something from an earlier season that you new listeners have never heard and reposting it here. So the first one I wanted to try this out on was when it was season 1, my first time ever having Aaron, my husband, on as a guest, and we did a 2-part episode called Free Marriage Counseling. And we've done some premarital with a good number of different couples throughout the years. And this is something that we typically take couples over like a 3-month journey where it's their discussion, they have homework, and we condensed it and made it into a 2-part episode. So first, also what I'm going to say is not for a little ear. So if you have kids in the car, pause. But the first part of the episode is about conflict and communication. The second part is about money and sex. And so if you do have those kids, come back later when you have headphones. But I think it's a really good, valuable conversation. We got a lot of interest afterwards. It's why everyone was like, bring Aaron back. And so I wanted to repost it here. We're going to try a couple Memory Mondays and see how it goes. And I hope you enjoy.
Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. I'm your host, Haven, and today I'm curious about marriage counseling. Marriage counseling. This is a topic I cannot do solo, so I have brought in the love of my life, Aaron Weits.
So sweet. Hello.
So sweet.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Haven. Let's just break the ice a little bit. We're talking about marriage counseling. We've been married for
10 years, almost 11.
Almost 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
We have been married for almost 11 years, and we've been a couple for 16.
Wow.
And friends for 18.
Friends forever.
Friends forever. You brought that up the other day. You're like, wow, you've been in love more than half your life, which is just
How's
such
that feel?
Amazing. It's such a poetic way to look at life. I have been in love for more than half my life. You've given me that gift, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. This isn't funny to anyone else but us.
This is fun.
Okay. Well, we're going to do this actually in a 2-part series because you and I have done premarital counseling with about half a dozen couples. And we take them through like a whole kind of worksheet. We do it over 3 months, but we're going to condense it down into a 2-episode kind of arc of things.
Yeah, you can think about it like a free marriage counseling session.
Yes. With 2 people who've been married for a long time and have learned some and have a lot to learn ahead.
Yes. Constantly learning.
Constantly. But the way that I want to break it out is this episode will probably talk about expectations and communication. And then the next episode will be all about money and sex. In not a weird way, but in a helpful way.
It's weird to put those together. That's not what marriage is.
Some people it is.
Oh, God.
Okay.
All right.
I want to start, though. There's a quote that I love from Esther Perel.
I knew you'd start with a quote.
Okay. Anyways.
A little tidbit about Haven, when she would like start her papers. We've known each other since like high school.
Uh-huh.
And she would show me her papers sometimes because I was an English major guy. And she would always start with a quote. I'm like, why are you always starting with a quote from like Eleanor Roosevelt? Like, are you a big Eleanor Roosevelt like fan? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
I am.
So here's a quote.
And if I had a quote from her, I would share it. But I actually like this one more. It says, most people are going to have 2 or 3 marriages or committed relationships in their adult life. Some of us will have them with the same person.
Booyah.
Booyah. But that's how I feel about you. We've had a couple different marriages.
Oh, yeah.
And this is actually the number one top request I've been getting is for a marriage one, relationships, that kind of thing. Those are consistently the largest form of questions I get asked.
It's probably because it's like the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like relationships.
It's true.
It's the most meaningful, but it's also the most difficult. And maybe that's why it is difficult because you
it's
discover
meaningful.
so much. You are yourself. You're bringing your whole self into a relationship. Being yourself. There's lots of things we can talk about. I don't know. You can steer us, but it is interesting what is it? 1 + 1 doesn't equal 1. Like when you're like getting married, like it's not like you still probably should have your individual life and friends and things. Otherwise you become like codependent. You become too needy on the other person. It's like you still need to have your own sense of self and validation,
Completely.
elsewhere.
But that's also what I want to start is we'll kind of go through a little bit about what we take couples through. But I wanted to share with you. You don't know I'm doing this. I want to share my favorite part about you.
Oh.
Do you know what my favorite part about you is?
My brain.
Yes.
My mind.
Your mind.
Brain is too scientific.
Mm-hmm. Your mind wildly fascinates me. I don't understand it. You come and you derail a train of thought of mine in the absolute best way. And you think about things in a way I never would have thought. And it's so unique and it's so brilliant and it's so creative and imaginative, but it's also your mind, but mixed with the beauty of your soul. I feel like you have just a depth to you that not most people probably have, but I don't know if they quite access it in the way that you have. And that paired with your creativity is just, I will never be bored being married to you.
That's very sweet of you to say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know mine?
Oh,
for you?
I wasn't going to ask, but yes.
My favorite thing about you is I think you're the best friend in the world. Like, not just to me, you are my best friend, but I think to so many people, you have such an open heart, but you know, you're able to step in and just be with someone. You know, I don't know. I think for me, when we were, you know, kids doing bands in high school and stuff like that, it was fun to play music together, but I really like just our conversations, you know, in the garage, you know, after band practice or after, you know, making cookies or something like that. You know, it's very wholesome.
So wholesome.
Very wholesome garage band experience. Even just talking about bigger things in life, like God and life and how things are. You know, this sounds very vague, but we really talked about so many things. And I think that's when I just started to love you, you know?
Well, it's also the basis of our marriage is friendship. Like, we're best friends first, and then everything else is just icing. So I'm glad that we have that too. Let's get into it.
Here we go.
Okay.
Do the intro again.
You're the music. You can add it in there. So when we take couples through this, again, this is a very condensed version. So pause it at any time. Take notes at any time. These are mainly conversations for you and the partner in your life. Like, yeah, listen to it, hear and engage, but these are helpful conversation prompts to get to know someone either you're already married to, you're thinking about getting married, or you guys are just in a dating stage and you want to get to know each other better. But the way that we started off too is we just tell them, hey, in this counseling, you guys are talking to each other. Like, you're not going to talk to us. Don't even look at us. Like, look at each other the whole time. We're just going to facilitate conversations with you. So it's also a sense of like, we don't have this all figured out. We just have learned a lot of great tools that we want to share. And when we do it with people, we also give them homework. Like, they've had like worksheets that they fill out in advance and specific questions. But here's the overview that we tell couples that we'll take them through. The first one is actually, we do talk about money, budgeting, your experience of it, because that's the highest reason for divorce. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to have conversations about those. Like,
financial issues end up becoming pretty big.
Totally. And
it may seem small in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Then you get older, you start a business, you do things, life hits, you know, unexpected things happen.
Yeah, it comes up a lot. The other thing is conflict of how do you handle it? How do you resolve it? Like, what's your conflict style? Is it attacking, blowing up, isolation, like
fight or flight,
that kind of thing? Also, expectations of that's the communication bedrock for sure. Of unmet expectations are what settle in deep and corrode a relationship. So it's helpful to talk about it. And you also don't even realize you come in with expectations until they're unmet and you're upset. Mm-hmm. So you may not even realize you have them until you're feeling a type of way. Then we also talk about love languages, because there's different ways to give and receive love. And the way that you're giving it may not be the way that your partner likes to receive it. So you could be hitting a bullseye of the wrong target. So it's also what's the target for their love language. And also love languages, you build relational equity. So we as humans, we're always going to make withdrawals. So with like needs and mistakes. So if you have a big amount to pull from of having fed into your partner's love bank, that helps. And then we're also going to talk about sex and remove the stigma or a sense that it's weird or awkward at all to talk about, because there's expectations there too. Is like, what does a win look like for you? What does a win look like for your partner? And talk about that. Anything to add, sir?
Where would you like to begin?
I want to begin on the question that we ask couples of going in, we say, how do you make big decisions and tell your partner? Like, how do you come to a big decision? How do you decide on it? I know for you and I, like, this is something that we learned together where I'll think through something a ton. And then when I say it out loud, it's basically done. Like, I'm only saying it out loud because I've thought through everything. I'm committed to it. And it's basically already happened. Where for you, I remember.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Complete opposite. I'll start talking about something and it's just me like getting the wheels turning. Like I'm spinning it. And then when it's in motion, then we're doing it. And
it would frustrate me. And I brought it up to like we have like a professional marriage counselor that we've used for a long time. And I was like, Aaron said he's going to buy a computer and we budgeted and then he moved it somewhere else. And it's frustrating because we committed to it. And he was like, Aaron didn't commit to it. And I was like, well, yeah, he said he was going to do it. And he goes, okay, Haven, in your head, when Aaron says he's going to do something like that, you have to put it in a maybe box in your mind. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. Maybe he'll change his mind. You can't hold him to what he says on that front. And not like communication. He's not who he is. He's processing out loud. And maybe he will buy a computer. Maybe he won't. But you can't hold him to these thoughts that he has as if they're already happening. And I was like, what? I'm the problem here, But it helped me so much because now I just throw everything. Aaron, anytime you have an idea, I throw it in a maybe box. And I don't stress because it's his choice if he's going to do it or not.
Maybe there's a return policy.
Maybe there's a return policy.
Maybe I'll have a computer for 14 days and I'll decide I don't want it.
Exactly. That's so not me. Like if I'm doing something, it's done. And so I just have to be like, that's you. And that's okay though. A lot of too is marriage is being like, you're going to do things differently. My way isn't right. Like your way is right for you. And my way is right for me.
Partners.
Okay. It's a natural segue into conflict of we ask couples, what do you do when you disagree and have opposing opinions?
What do we do?
That's a question for you. I'm asking you.
What do we do when we have different opinions? I think we either find a compromise somewhere or, it depends. Like, what's an example?
Well, let's go even back to conflict style, though. This may be an easier answer is, especially when we were first married, we had different conflict styles. For me, my conflict style was definitely not healthy. It was related to the other closest male in my life, which was my brother, where we would fight growing up, which was not a conflict to resolve. Like any siblings, you're fighting to win. So I would go into our relationship that way. And the mechanisms that I had learned was mentally, I was like, I'm going to go into an igloo where nothing you say is going to affect me. Like ice queen.
Wow.
Yeah. Whoa.
I said ice cold.
Close enough. Kind of like that. But I was like, nothing's going to affect me. I won't show vulnerability. I won't show weakness. And then through the igloo, I would look at them and just wait for someone to say something stupid. And then I would just sniper rifle.
With sarcasm.
With sarcasm. Ooh. Or with like just making fun. Like nothing was going to hurt me. And I was just going to bide my time until you did something stupid and then sniper. And it was so not helpful.
Painful.
It was painful. And it was like, it wasn't to resolve. It was to self-protect, which is a difference. There's a difference of self-protection and difference of like fighting for resolution. But I realized this especially of you did something to change the tides on that. You found that vulnerability on your side, the bravery of that would melt the ice where you would be like, hey, I love you. Hey, we're fighting together here. Hey, we're on a team. And that would kind of snap me out and be like, oh, like this is safe here. This is safe to kind of come together. And that would melt the ice and that would help bring us together. But it took me a long time to unlearn that conflict style. But what was yours?
In response to that, I think something interesting that we learned through going to our own counseling and all of that was, I asked the question, am I going to have to surrender first all the time? Like I was so frustrated. I was like, can she just like apologize first once? And like, even like, cause you would get mad at me for something afterward and I'd have to apologize for the small thing that I did in reaction to the thing that you did, maybe that set the trigger off sometimes.
You're right.
But our counselor was just like, yeah, probably. You're probably going to have to do it first all the time. I was like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Hold on. Are you sure? Because I think like it should be a little more balanced, right? Like, no, he's like, no, I think that this might just be your like one of your perpetual issues that you have to do. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get really good at being the first to forgive, to apologize, to all of that, because I know I can like diffuse that bomb, you know, or like soften that situation. That's one of my strengths.
Yes.
At some point I realized, oh, this is not an imbalance in our relationship. This is what I bring to the relationship. And it actually, that shift, you know, the last couple of years has really, really helped us.
And it helps.
And continues.
And I respect that from you so much, because it is hard for me to drop the weapons. Like, it's hard for me to feel defenseless, and I have to feel safe for that. And you bring that safety, and I still want to work on that. I'd love to be the first one to apologize, but like, it's a part of the stubborn nature. It's a part of the direct, the force going after. The shadow side of that is, it's hard for me to admit I'm wrong. It's hard for me to be vulnerable first. And I'm so grateful for your graciousness in that, and, you know, being the bigger person, because to be honest, you are. Like, that's why in the episode I did on like women and men, like Janelle was kind of commenting of like how great that I think you had downloaded like my PMS tracker app to try and like help or something. And I was like, that's such a small slice in who you are, of like, you're so gracious and you're so forgiving. And I'm just really grateful to be married to you. It's a weird side tangent, but
thank you.
I appreciate that. But you didn't answer. What was your conflict style?
Oh, my conflict style? What is my conflict style?
No, when we first started, like.
First started dating?
Yeah.
I think maybe I just shut down.
Yes.
I don't remember. I just blacked it all out. No.
You would shut down and like
I used
ghost.
to shut down a lot.
Not like ghost of like.
Especially too, because if we were to get really angry at each other, especially early in marriage, it was like there's this concept of like being flooded, like my whole system. I could start to see like when I'm hitting like 60 miles an hour, going above the speed limit now, you know, that anger has now flooded me, and I actually need to like pause. So we were inspired by an episode of Portlandia where they have this hilarious safe word called cacao. And so we just took that. It was so funny.
It's such it's a weird clip.
It's super weird.
Don't Google it. But at the time it made sense to just say it.
We just have that code where we're like, now it's like,
the version of the bear
happens.
Where they go like this. Yeah. Where they like hold like I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. If you haven't seen the Bear season 2, it's a kind thing. But you're right though. When you're feeling flooded, you have to exit the freeway. Otherwise,
you have to have some signal to let the other person know that's like, hey, I need to take a second, you know, just to collect myself, and then we can come back and talk about it later.
And as a partner, that's not them abandoning you. That's them taking care of themselves. But like, that is okay as long as they always come back. And as long as like you do have a chance to resolve, someone taking a beat to go away, to go for a drive, to go for a walk, to calm down in the middle of a heated argument is better, because like your lizard reptilian brain takes over, where it's your amygdala's flooded. You can't be logical and reasonable. Like, you can't deal with reason. Like, it does need to calm down, which is important on there.
Yeah, it's important, I think, in the, like, what do you call it? Like the calm times, the peaceful times, just to establish that like trust. Like, hey, like when we get into a fight next, it's going to happen. When that happens, like, I care about you, and I just want us to have a healthy way to fight. So we don't go too far. We don't say things we don't mean. We don't, you know, cross any boundaries.
And I'm really proud, because I do think we've made such a shift in even the last 10 years of like, we don't really boundary cross anymore the way that we like would when we were flooded in a fight. Because we made like a list where it was like, we're never going to say the word divorce ever, much less in a fight.
You just said it.
Okay. In a fight or in regards to our relationship, we also don't cuss at each other, slam doors, or be physically intense.
Never hands on each other.
No hands on each other. You requested no sarcasm.
Yes, that's a big one. It's a very triggering for me.
Yeah, don't like that one. And I think those are our main ones. Oh, yelling, raising voices and stuff. We try not. I don't know if I already said that one.
Yeah. But it's important to have the boundaries in place, like farther away, like farthest away from where like real danger zone or anything, like just have a bunch. We have like I don't know what you call it, boundaries, walls, and it makes a difference. So that way, if like start to get flooded and like you cross one, I raise my voice or something like that. You know, I realize, oh, okay, maybe I don't realize it, but you could bring it up and say the code word or whatever to like, hey, let's diffuse this. Let's calm down. Let's come back in like 15 minutes, an hour, whatever.
And each of us calls each other to who we are. We go, hey, we don't speak to each other that way. Like, let's take a beat. Or, hey, like, we don't talk to each other, or that kind of thing too, where it jumps between each of us. Also, when it comes to conflict, be careful going to other people with your conflict with your spouse. Like
Candace.
Candace does know about all of our problems. She's a safe one. I know about all of her problems. But I meant like outside friends, because you'll forgive your spouse, but they're always going to kind of harbor that against your spouse, whether it's your family or other people.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bigger, I think, is the family. Like, you know, especially when you're freshly married, you don't want to like go to your dad or your mom about your spouse with some things, because then it's like, what are they doing? Like, this is, they're treating my baby like terribly. Yeah. And I'm going to do something about it. Or like, that's not right. And some things need to really be worked out. Obviously, if it's extreme, talk about it with someone. But
no, it's true. And I can't recommend a family therapist more, like a family counselor. Like our counselor knows, we don't have any secrets, but they know everything. Like our counselor knows everything about my life, your life, and our conflict. And that makes me feel better, because I'm like, we're voicing it somewhere. Someone is privy to that. But outside of that, just use judgment, and your better judgment, and knowing of like who you're talking to your marriage. Because also we have a united front. We're like outside, like we may disagree behind closed doors. And if it's not a big deal, of course we'll disagree. But I mean, like on big things, like I have your back and you have mine. Yeah,
it's not healthy for me to like trash talk you to, you know, my friends or anything like that, vice versa. You know, there's no way that that's constructive.
Right. When it comes to even communication, as far as like what we've learned is voicing needs, and like, what are my needs? Instead of just saying like, oh my gosh, the house is trashed, I'm so frustrated. It's like, hey, I need at the end of the day for us to do a sweep so I can wake up and not be overwhelmed.
Thank you for recognizing my need.
I know, I'm voicing your need. That's your need. Please. It's overwhelming for you to go to sleep with a messy house and you request that we clean it.
No, it's overwhelming to wake up to it.
Okay, that's true. Going to sleep feels a little fine.
Going to sleep, I'm like, yeah, dishes, whatever. But waking up.
Yeah. But it's important, though, when you're communicating those needs, is to keep it on your side of the fence.
Yeah. Like tennis, pickleball, sport.
Ping pong. Sport.
Oh, ping pong.
Yeah.
The table tennis.
All these are variations of tennis. But like, to say it on my needs, not like, hey, you trashed the house. You left your dishes out. It's, hey, it helps me when I wake up if we have a clean kitchen.
Or if I say like, you don't do this, I'm just like, pow, pow, pow. And it doesn't, the ball's just going everywhere. You know?
Yeah, it's going everywhere. Oh, this is a good one as far as conflict is also in communication, is like when you're upset, it's like when you're trying to have an argument, it's like you're holding a wet bar of soap. It's like the more mad you get, the more it slips out and goes in a different direction. And then you're fighting about something else. And then you pick it and you squeeze it and it goes all the way around. So like the best way to have conflict is to not get so angry that you're just like squeezing it, because then it's going to go all the way around.
Gentleness,
which is very hard to do in conflict.
very hard to do. Sounds like it's very hard for you.
No, we've worked through it. Kinda. Okay. There's some questions on here that like I even want to kind of get to, as far as that we've seen topically when we take couples through this, is and when it regards to communications and expectations. Someone was asking like, what about friendships? Do those change after marriage? What's your take on that?
I think they definitely can change. You know, like some people, you know, they have their friend group and suddenly it depends on the relationship, I think. But most of the time it's like you spend so much time, you know, with your boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, that it's like, I don't know. How would you say
it does change. I think a greater question that people can ask themselves is confused. Like, I think ask, you know, person you're dating, fiance, marriage, like, what are your expectations of like friend time? Like, how much time do you want to spend with friends each week? And do we have married couple friends that we both enjoy? Or if only you enjoy them, how much do I actually have to hang out with them? And how many double dates do I need to sign up for to make you happy? Because I want to make you happy, but you have to know, like, I don't enjoy this couple date.
I think when you get married, there's a different dynamic. Like, yeah, you have your friends, keep your friends. You're not like losing anything. If anything, you're gaining a new, like, I don't know, type of relationship, type of friendship.
Yeah.
That when you have your single friends, maybe friends who are still single or still dating or whatever, that's obviously still great. I think what is also important is to find couple friends that you both can gel with, you know, and you can learn from each other. Like we have several now, since we've been married now, like we just got married 10 years ago, but the dynamic is really cool. You find people that you can trust or open up to or relate to about things and share. And, you know, it's a newer frontier when you're getting married, but it really is like a valuable thing. And then bonus, when everybody starts to have kids at the same time, or if they can't have kids, then you're still there for them. You know, there's like you care so much more because now like you have people that you can go through life with, maybe at different age ranges, but like still in the same direction. It's kind of nice.
Totally. And then I think I'm also going to always harp back to, like, again, the bedrock of expectations. It's also like, hey, what's your take on opposite sex friends now that we're getting married? Like, what are you comfortable with me? What am I comfortable with you?
Oh, yeah.
And asking each other those kind of dynamics, because you may not realize you had an expectation until it wasn't met. And then you're like, why am I upset? We've never talked about this. Oh, I assumed.
What, like specifically, why are you going to lunch with that girl? Or why are you going to lunch with that guy?
Yeah.
Why are you, you know,
or
what is that dynamic like? Like, are there boundaries there? What is that, you know, kind of thing? Because
and I'll take it to our relationship as you're a musician. And I was like, am I comfortable with you one-on-one, intimately songwriting behind closed doors with another female? That's kind of the name of the game of the industry. Like, what does that look like for us where that, if that has to happen? Or for me, if I have to take a business lunch, like one-on-one with a guy, like, what is that? It's not as clear black and white as like, oh, never one-on-one. Like, you know, it's what am I comfortable with? How can I communicate with you? And is there ever a sense where you're like, I don't want you doing that? And I always want to defer to you of what you're comfortable with, because I can always compromise and pull arrangements in that other setting, but I never want to sacrifice your trust or your comfortability in situations.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Same.
Thank you. Another thing is like, how do you plan to split up like cooking and cleaning and home responsibilities of like, what's your expectation of yourself and the other person and their role when it comes to that?
Yeah, I think you can like the whole idea of expectations. It's like you can trickle it down to every facet where sometimes you don't even know, you're not even aware of it. Like my mom did my laundry when I was growing up, so you're doing it. It's like, hold on a second there, Buster.
Here, buddy,
you know?
You got to learn how to use the laundry machine.
You're an adult, man, and you can't do your laundry.
Right.
You know, I don't
or
know.
like, what are you particular about that matters to you? I remember one time there was this older couple and he was like, you know, my wife cooks, but afterwards it always frustrated me how everything was left. He goes, and I would consistently be annoyed. And then I realized I'm particular about this.
Oh, that's been the best for us. When we find those things, like you would get so mad, I think, about the trash or something like that. And then you just start to, I got mad about dishes. So I just started doing the dishes.
And I hated the trash there. So I just always take the trash. If it's flooding, I'm like, I'm not even going to ask Aaron.
I'm like, I can fit one more thing.
You always push it down. And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to ask him 3 times. I'm just going to do it. It's my problem. Like, it's my thing I'm particular about. Or if there's something neither of you wants to do. Okay, like what's our agreement here if like neither of us want to do this part? But that's just the home stuff. But it's also bigger of asking, what do we do about holidays? Whose family are we going to spend it with? Like, this is also the best piece of advice we got was you as the person of like the family of origin you're coming from, you have all communication with them, good or bad. We're coming to Thanksgiving's coming from you. We're not coming to Thanksgiving is coming from you. Like all of those things.
Your side of the court.
Your side of the court. Because otherwise, like it's so easy to be like, oh, this is this new person coming into our family. It's Aaron's fault that Haven's not coming to Thanksgiving. No, I'm telling you, I'm choosing this as a part of my new family. Don't blame my husband.
United front.
United front. Like united front having those conversations of what is your expectation? Like, do you always want to do Christmas? Is that the thing? Or do we do every other? Like, each unique couple is going to have their own individual take on it.
Man, when our families lived in the same state, it was pretty wonderful. Double Thanksgiving, double Christmas.
But especially
Now
Thanksgiving,
it's trickier.
because my family is like very fun, creative. Like for Thanksgiving, we'll do different recipes every year.
Zero tradition.
Zero tradition. And not only that, different recipes, like we'll try them for the first time on Thanksgiving Day. And sometimes they're amazing. Like one time my sister did like a hollowed out orange with sweet potato casserole and like toasted marshmallows and a cinnamon stick. Amazing. There's also a lot of duds. Also, our family sucks at cooking.
$80 mac and cheese.
Okay, Clancy. Also, my sister made like an $80 mac and cheese that didn't taste great, or we burned things. So what I loved is I would go and have the adventurous Thanksgiving. Then I would know Aaron's family at dinner, classic green bean casserole, normal turkey, no kind of weird turn on it, bread rolls. Like, I don't know. Find out what works for you. But when we both lived in the same state, it was the best of both worlds, and I miss that.
But even now, like, it's just communicating. Like, what is the expectation going into big events like holidays? Like, oh, my family always does something on Easter. Maybe the other family doesn't. That's great. You know, we could set that up and that's clear. But when there's a conflict, it's just worth talking about and thinking like, okay, how do we be real about this and just say, maybe we could do every other year, alternate, or figure something out.
I think it's great. I'm going to open it up to some questions that were submitted in the end. Does that sound good?
Great.
Great.
Okay, so one of the questions is, how do you feel safe in difficult conversations?
I think I heard once where it says, we teach our spouses how honest they can be with us based on our reaction when they tell us something that we don't want to hear.
Wow.
So you feel safe by like setting the tone of like, I didn't want to hear that, but I'm not going to blow up. I'm not going to, make this a huge thing. I'm going to receive the information I didn't want to hear. And then we talk about it too. And setting the tone of not being wildly reactionary or punishing or defensive or angry.
Like having that safe space to like chat about something. Pillow talk. Or like just the appropriate setting. Maybe when you're driving, not a good idea sometimes to like bring up something
Our
heavy.
worst conversations came in driving because we're trapped and then we're just mad.
And going like so fast and we're like, this is a lot.
No, we can't. We have to have conversations not driving. What if one spouse is better at communicating than the other? How do you navigate?
Well, you're the one who's better at communicating. So how do you navigate that?
I don't know. You're the one who's better at resolving.
I think you can help someone find the words to say, I guess, or like, I think it's all asking the right questions. Like you really do. I defer to you first because you ask really good questions. And I think that's the secret to kind of unlocking things in people, relationships. It's like, ask something open-ended. It's not just a yes or no. Like, are you okay? Like, yeah, why are you asking me? It's like, what's going on right now? Like, tell me about what that made you feel, or get them to start talking, open-ended kind of thing, so that you can get a clue maybe of something, and then you can ask a follow-up question that begins to tell you more, and then
sometimes you're right, like, are you okay, can even come across sometimes aggressive. Like sometimes Candace, like my best friend I'll refer to a lot, will ask each other like, hey, if your mood was a color, what color are you today?
It's cute.
That gives a lot. Like, are you like a dark and stormy gray? Are you a light blue? Are you a melancholy? What's melancholy
Purple.
Besides blue? Purple. I already said blue. But that helps too, is like it can be these kind of lighter things too.
Something interesting, I think, with the navigating if someone's not as good at communicating is, for me, when I was growing up, my whole like childhood was pretty insane. I didn't really know how to articulate feelings. It wasn't until I was like 15, 16, even 17, living with my aunt and uncle. Like, she really helped me identify what I was feeling, and I could actually have language to express it, not just music or angst or whatever. But I think for some people, probably more of the men, it's hard to place like what that is. And so it might be helpful to even, do a little like gentle excavating of like, what are you feeling? Could it be sadness? Could it be anger? It may feel so basic, but I do think some of those simple like milestones or whatever markers for the emotional like spectrum, you know, can help unlock some of that in someone. Because I think a lot of times people don't know how to. I just feel frustrated.
I was going to say everything goes into the cap of frustrated.
Yeah, that
especially for men, and that can mean anything. But there's specifics where if you look up feelings chart color wheel and save that, like put it as the background of your phone, and it'll say like mad, and then it'll do the other colors of like what can come out of mad, like raging, frustrated, jealousy, you know, annoyed. Like there are so many nuances that maybe can help you articulate the emotions you're feeling that you can't access on your own. Like use a specific tool as well to help name that feeling.
That's helpful.
Thank you. I know that because I had it on the back of my phone when I'm trying to identify my own emotions.
That sounded familiar.
What happens when you and your partner fundamentally disagree about something? And I remember we were actually taking a couple through this, and they had different views on abortion.
Okay.
So what happens when it's that kind of a high stakes kind of thing and someone is vehemently disagreeing with one another?
I think on some level, I think being an individual is a blessing, you know, like you are free to think for yourself. And if you've thought about it, you're not just regurgitating what you've heard online or in any capacity. It's actually really strong to have a good debate with someone you love and care about and understand, you know, you can even understand them more through a sensitive subject like that, especially controversial stuff. It's like, how can I still love you and disagree with you?
I think it's amazing when couples have different opinions, different strong opinions. I think you just have to ask yourself, am I okay with you disagreeing with this one? Like the specific ones, like what are the big ones that are non-negotiables for me that I need to be aligned on with someone? And where are ones where I'm like, I'm okay that we disagree. We may never agree, and that's okay with me.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you tackle a tit for tat mentality when it comes to responsibilities and tasks?
Is the person who asked that question like 100 years old?
I don't know.
From the 1920s, tit for tat.
Okay, John Mulaney.
Wait, so I got so confused by the verbiage.
Okay, it's basically like itemizing and responsibilities where you're like, oh, I did these 4 things, you should.
Oh, yeah, that's important to talk about.
We got into that trap after kids.
It's not helpful.
No, but
I think you have to give 100% of yourself and not, like, maybe it's again back to expectations. Like, don't expect. I don't want to expect anything from you. I want to serve you. So the best version of myself is in that posture. The worst one, I start to itemize. I'm like, I did the dishes. I, did clean the kid's room. I did this. We start comparing, and that's very unhealthy.
It's unhealthy, but what I was going to say is we got into that trap after kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get into this survival mode of, okay, like you change the diaper, I'm going to breastfeed, you re-swaddle. Like you do these like survival things to get past it. And then if it stays, that's where it gets really dangerous. And also resentment. Where like, I remember I was feeling like I'm breastfeeding this kid every 3 hours. Like this is such a time commitment. Like, yeah, please bring me some water. Please bring some food. And like, it gets in the way where you're downplaying the value that the other person's giving when you're feeling like you're what you're doing is more valuable than what they are. But I also saw something where it was basically like, how would you handle the scenario if your partner wasn't there? Like don't wait for them to do stuff, like handle it yourself. And then the other person can serve you as a gift, which I think is important too, where it's not just like in my head, like a running tally of like, I've done these things, so I expect you to do those. Something
important, I think, is if your relationship starts to feel that way, not that it's transactional, but there's so many things like you're a big planner. I think I have a high structure. I like planning, but I like also changing plans. But that dynamic can get so choppy that if you start to think about that exclusively, like there's no room for anything else. It's like, when's the last time you had any fun, like together? Like go out on a date, go for a walk, even do something to just break the mold, change, like go to a new place, do something completely different so that you can enjoy one another and have conversations and not think about those kind of things. Because at some point it's like okay, yeah, I got to take the kids to school, got to do this, got to, yada, yada, yada. There's all this stuff that has to get done. But the bigger thing is you have to be connected. You have to be like, not even on the same page, but just like, together.
That's how people become roommates.
Ew.
Ew is gross. But it's true of like, that's how you just become these people who are amazing at logistics, but you aren't going on dates. You're not having sex. You're not like enjoying one another. You're not surprising one another. Like you're not remembering even, there's that quote of like, what you did to get her is what you need to do to keep her. And that's talking about like a husband.
Mm-hmm. I think it works both ways. The things that you enjoy with each other, like keep that alive. Not that it dies, but just like that you just need to add more intention on that.
Totally. And we'll talk more about that in the next episode. But is there anything else that you want to go out as far as the expectations, conflict kind of communication, any parting words?
Conflict is going to come no matter what. And I think just have grace with each other as it happens.
Yeah.
And
conflict is natural and very healthy.
It's actually really healthy.
It's really healthy. It's how do you do it well? When someone says, oh, we never fight, that to me is so scary. Part of me is like, oh my gosh, one of you is just running the ship and the other one is just very flexible, but maybe not voicing what they want. Like voicing what you want is going to have conflicting stuff. You're going to have different things. It's like, how do you navigate that together well and not lose your individuality?
The last thing I think I'll say is that the exciting thing about all this with the expectations, conflict, is the growth that you have together. Like you said something early on about how like you have like 2 or 3 marriages to the same person, like that's what we've gone through and faced and crashed through are so many different versions of each other. And how do I get to know you now that you're a mom? How do I get to know you now that you're a business owner? It's exciting. And it's a challenge that's worth.
You're not going to finish the thought?
It's a challenge that's worth it. No, I
thought you were going to say like rising to.
Thank you.
Is that how you want to end it?
Yes.
Challenges. Okay, we're holding hands now. Okay. Thank you for listening to this episode. It's a first of a 2-parter. So we talked about conflict, expectations, communication. Next episode, we're going to talk about money and sex. So thank you for listening. Please follow, like, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Haven the Podcast. I do Q&As there, and there's some more kind of bonus information there. Or you can email your topic requests or questions in a long form to hello@havenpod.com. So thanks so much, and I'll see you on the second part of this episode.
Haven, what's the best part about a fight?
Winning.
Winning?
No, I'm kidding. You don't really win in marital fights.
You can win. I think when you come together in the right way, maybe what you thought was winning isn't winning at all.
I think I know your answer to what your favorite thing about a fight is.
Make up sex afterward?
Okay, maybe I didn't. Anyways, we have created a course called How to Fight Better. It's under our umbrella of Pillow Talk, which is about just conversations that you can have with your spouse. We brought in our actual marriage counselor of 12 years, Dr. Jonathan Cood, to help us and explain the tools that he's been teaching us that have helped us have what we feel like is a really thriving, enjoyable marriage and one that we're proud of. And so we were like, how can we share these experiences, but also the professional person who taught us how to do this with the world? So you can go to joinpillowtalk.com right now to get How to Fight Better. Okay, back to the episode. This episode, we're talking about money and sex. So it's mature content. If you're around little ones, put in some AirPods or push pause. It's obviously not for younger listeners, but I hope you circle back because I do think there's some value here. So as a reminder, my guest is my husband, Aaron.
Apparently co-host now, so.
Apparently co-host.
Upgrade.
I mean,
no.
We probably have the best chemistry out of any guest I'll have. So maybe. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about money first.
Okay. This one's a really good exercise. So again, I hope you've listened to the other episode. This is Like, as much as Aaron and I are going to share our experience, this is for you and your relationship and your marriage. Take this back and like with these questions and these prompts. One exercise that is so helpful to start about with the topic of money, I learned in a breakout. And it's asking your partner, hey, what's your earliest memory when it comes to money from childhood? Like some people were like, oh, my mom said, like, we have to get these paper towels because the other ones are too expensive, you know, and that stuck with them. Or for me, my experience, my first earliest one was when I lost a tooth at my grandmother's house. And I woke up the next day and I think I got like $10. And I was like, what? Like at home, I get 25 cents. I was believing in the tooth fairy. I was like, is this district tooth fairy just like, you know, better in this neighborhood? Like, how did this happen? I don't really understand it. And I'm going to save all of my tooths on those last little nerves and only lose them at my grandmother's house because this is a way better cash payout for me.
That's amazing.
But the questions that came up for that was like excitement, curiosity, a little bit of confusion, a little bit of competition and intrigue. But those are the emotions that tied to my first memory of money. But when we did this exercise, your answer was so different than mine.
Oh, super different.
So different.
No
Tell
tooth
us.
fairy.
No tooth fairy.
I think my first realization about money was, I think my dad had some kind of issues or whatever with bills, and basically like we played camping in the house for a couple weeks because he either didn't or couldn't pay the electric bill. And I was like, oh, so you need like money to like have things like electricity. It felt like it was just like a kind of for granted kind of thing. But I kind of realized I was like, oh, like otherwise we're just gonna, I mean, it was a fun adventure, great spin. But you know, for a difficult time, you know, for me, I think it was maybe a survival thing, like literally camping. It's like you're surviving in whatever environment. For us, it just happened to be inside of our house with no electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But that was kind of a eye-opening point to me where, oh, okay, money sort of impacts your whole life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot for me to understand it. I think it was like 8 or 9 or something like that. But
what I love about that question is it shows you a glimpse of like you and your spouse or whoever will view money fundamentally different based on your upbringing, and you're bringing that into the relationship.
Yeah, where
like,
I would be like, let's save, hyper save, like it's a precious like commodity. Let's not go crazy.
And
you're
I'm
like
more,
tooth fairy.
Well,
No
I'm
offense.
like strategizing. If we do this, we can make this.
That's
or
a better way to think.
You know,
about it.
well, I mean, like it's just different though. Like we have different,
Totally
even
different.
emotions tied with money. We have different experiences with money.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about our relationship with it, like those factors are at play there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, oh, let's save, oh, let's spend. There's always deeper nuances into why you're behaving the way you're behaving.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, money is neutral. Like money's not good or bad. How are you going to handle it? And it's a good thing to ask. Like we'll ask couples when we take them through this premarital counseling is like, how do you handle money now? And I remember one couple, it kind of brought a little bit of conflict is he loved to be generous, he would say. He was like, I love paying for friends' lunches. I love like if someone's sponsoring a trip, I want to do that. I love being generous. And the woman he was going to marry is like, that stresses me out because like, what if we can't pay rent because you want to be generous? Like, she's like, I want you to be generous. I'm not saying don't, but I'm concerned that it's irresponsible sometimes. So it's also those kind of things. We ultimately were like, okay, like how much do you want to budget every month to be generous? And then you, sir, can spend all of that in generous. And then she knows exactly how much you're going to use. And when you run out of that, you have to take care of your family too.
Yeah. It's a priorities thing. Like it's a big priority. A lot for it.
And again, when we take couples, we'll send them a budgeting sheet and we'll say, we're not going to look at your sheet, but you guys need to fill this out together. Like you have to have some type of budget or an idea and conversations about where do you see money going? Because if you don't have a plan, your money will own you and your money will run your life. Like money is neutral. You need to be the one in charge of it.
One thing I think that helped for us ensure that it's very neutral is like we ended up merging our bank accounts like right when we got married. And some people, maybe it doesn't make sense for whatever reason, but I think on the trust level, it's like there have been times where I made more than you and there's other times where you made a lot more than me. And It's just kind of how life is.
I see it as ours always.
Yeah, but we're contributing to our family. We're on the same team. Like, it's not no competition. It's, you know what I mean? Like, we're
But
on the same level.
It's a question people need to ask is, are we going to merge our finances or not? Like, I wouldn't say there's a right or wrong. We chose to, but you guys need to have those discussions, ideally in advance, because you can have these expectations and then you get married and then you're like, what? You don't trust me to merge finances? Like, whatever the reason is talk about it.
Are you going to leave me? You know, that
like, you
kind
never
of stuff.
know. Or like a woman may be like, I want to have independent freedom away from you because of my past. Or people have their own reasons of why they want stuff. It's just talking about them and knowing them together. Also, when we have them kind of do the worksheet of budget, I'm like, did you guys agree on everything? Usually it's no. Usually there's different things and like, okay, what new came up and what did you guys talk about there? Like, just talk about it and stick to whatever you land on, but it's okay to disagree in how you want to spend things too.
No doubt there'll be some conflicts involved with that.
Also, have you talked about debt? Like, what debt are you bringing into the marriage?
That's a huge one, especially now. Student debts, student loans, all that stuff. It's like very real to like enter a situation together where you're like, oh, okay, this is a huge looming thing, or no problem at all, you know?
Yeah. To know who you're marrying, just knowing the elements about them, and then you get to choose to marry them. Also, it's like, I don't think everyone's in as binary as are you a spender or a saver, but you do need to know, like the way that you and I sometimes will kind of flip-flop. Like sometimes one of us will save, sometimes one of us will spend, but we joke when we're shopping because we don't shop often, but you'll be like, hey, can I get these pants? And I'm like, yes, if I can get this top. And it reminds me of Arrested Development.
Yeah, it's a banana stand where
we call it the banana stand.
Maybe in George Michael or in the banana stand, and they're like, oh yeah, they keep inventory of the bananas, but you know, for every banana, there's $1 accounted for it. So take $1, throw away a banana. They'll never know. It doesn't work that way.
No, it's opposite. You lose inventory and cash. But that's sometimes how we'll be like, oh yeah, like you can get those pants if I can get this shirt. Now we're like double out. But it's just knowing that stuff about one another and just what levels you're okay. You and I always have a limit of if we're going to spend over X amount of dollars, we have to tell the other person. Anything under that amount is completely up to your discretion. But we do have a limit. And it's changed. When we first got married, it was like $25. Yeah. Where it's like, if you're spending over 25, like we need to tell each other about it. Now it's higher. But it's still there.
Now it's like $40. Right?
Also, it's important to know, like, how did you grow up with money? Like, did you have a really bad experience with a parent who mishandled money and you're kind of putting that on your spouse? Or was everything always taken care of and you had immense privilege and you've never experienced that? And
do you still not think about money?
You know, still maybe not think about money? That means you're privileged.
Yeah.
Which is okay. You just have to know that about yourself and know that most people don't experience the world that way. It's important to talk about. Oh, this one's a good one. Borrowing money, friends and family. What's your take on it?
Don't do it.
Just the headline, don't do it.
Or it's not like loans or anything like that. Sometimes, you know, if it's a gift, wonderful, like receive the gift, you know, that kind of thing. But I think there is like there's an important aspect of the marriage where you guys are coming together. Like we came together, and the other influences of money, and not that it's power, but it kind of is like some sort of influence in some way that it's, I think, much healthier to like the leave and cleave kind of idea. Like you're going to leave
your family of
your
origin,
mother and father, and join, you know, with your spouse to make a new family.
Yeah. The way that we have it is it just keeps it cleaner of like not letting people borrow money. If we give it, it's a gift and we don't expect it in return. But it's a pretty firm boundary of it gets really messy and it can really corrode some relationships. Yeah. Another helpful practice when it comes to money is the way that you talk about it too. Instead of saying, oh, we can't afford that. That's a little bit of a poverty mentality. It's saying, that's not how we're choosing to spend our money right now.
Yeah.
The shift in language matters. The shift in language of how you view money matters. Instead of saying like, oh, I can't buy that. It's too much. I can't afford that. No, that's not how I'm going to choose to spend my money right now.
It would be fun to buy that, but I'm choosing not to.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather have electricity.
Have electricity. That's such a good one.
Yeah.
Anything else on the money thing? Those are our main things that we'll talk couples through.
I think that covers most of the money talk. But again, what I like about the whole marriage counseling thing, this whole thing that we've taken couples through, is it's been like they all kind of compound on each other. It's the expectations, conflict, like those things can happen a lot with money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important to have a safe place to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So when it comes to sex, the most important thing is, again, it's going back to expectations, is asking your partner, hey, what's your expectations when it comes to sex? Like, what's the frequency that you're assuming? Like, what's the time of day? Like, what are the types? Like, what are the general kind of things? And hearing about it as a form of curiosity and as a form of like, okay, like, can I meet those expectations? Is there a middle playing ground that we need to go to?
I think that we have called this section of the marriage counseling like sex, but it's really intimacy. Like, there are ways to be intimate, you know, that are bigger than just like the sexual act, sexual intercourse, whatever you want to call it. Like when you have love languages and that kind of thing, like for me, it's words of affirmation. For you, it's mainly physical touch. We're kind of close on some of the numbers. If you haven't read the book, I haven't read the book. I've just taken the test and it was insightful.
It was still helpful.
I've skimmed the book, but it's important to know like those kind of things. Like, am I just communicating what I look for, you know, I'm wanting versus what you need or what actually will like access you and help you feel connected to me, intimate. It's a big deal.
That's true. Intimacy is way more all-encompassing than just the physical aspect of it. But I think also it's like you're going to have different needs. Like someone's going to have a higher emotional request and someone's going to have a higher sex drive or lower. Like you're not going to be even, and that's also okay. It's just knowing that about each other and talking about it overall. Yeah.
It could be seasonal too, where I'm just stressed out right now and, you know, I need an outlet, or I'm stressed out right now and I don't want to be touched, you know. Like,
could be either way.
Especially pregnancy, you know, starting a family, that's tricky.
It is, because it ebbs and flows. Where like the end of pregnancy, it was the opposite. My hormones were like, let's do it, man. It's awesome. And then afterwards it was like, see you in 3 months, you know, like we're about to just go into war and into the fog. So it also can be variant of each person and what's physically happening in your body at the same time.
Yeah. But I think in the marriage context, like starting, like say this is free marriage counseling, in the beginning stages, it's really like still, I think, serving each other, not like there's nothing transactional about it. There shouldn't be. Like we have a what do you call it? A rule?
It's a rule.
A guideline, an agreement that we won't like barter for sex. It's like, I'll do the dishes if you do me, you know, what stupid.
Who would even say that? It's mainly like,
see, it doesn't work. It's like that. This shouldn't be like, you know, thank you so much, I'm going to reward you even. Like that's not a really healthy way to look at it either. Cause then it's kind of becomes this like bartering transactional thing that it's really like, you know, a union, you know, it's such an intimate, you know, spiritual experience.
Totally. It is a gift and to be seen that way. Also, when people are getting married, we recommend just talk about it with each other, talk about your past. Like, I don't think you need to go into explicit detail, but I think if you're going to marry someone, they should know your background. Yeah.
Like you don't have to go super graphic history, but to be aware of those things, you know, it probably will. I know for some people, some guys I've talked to who've like talked to their wives about that. They said it's the hardest thing they've like had to do, but you know, in the long run, it's way better to be open about those things and real than it to come out later or to find out something, you know, pornography or something like that, you know, even, you know, not just your history with another person, just your history with like sex in general, sexuality. I think it's better to shine light on things than to live in the dark.
Totally. And talk backwards facing, like talk looking in the rear view, and also talk in the future. Like, what are your fantasies? What are your desires? What are your hopes? Like those kind of things are just as important too. It's like not just the back, but also like, what are you looking for in the future? Some other practical things that we do have though is if someone is wanting sex and the other one's not ready, it's never like a rejection no. It's always a no with an appointment.
Yeah, that's important because it's nothing more rejecting than like, no, I don't want it.
I have a headache.
No, there's nothing more like rejecting than just kind of being shut down. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, I was trying to use my sexy voice and you think I'm being a character from Harry Potter or something like that.
What?
It's like, what?
No, it's saying
that doesn't happen in real life.
That made me laugh, honey.
Like, wow, cool guy. He's got the cool guy
Wow,
voice.
cool guy's
know
trying to
what he's trying to do now.
put the moves on me. It's so obvious. No, it'll be like, I can't get in the mental space, but like, yeah, tomorrow morning for sure.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm not saying sure, like that'll happen. No, but like it's good to have that not just being outright no.
Yeah.
It's like, not right now. Could we do it at this time?
Mhm.
Not just later, because later could mean
Mhm.
never. But but with an
Yeah.
appointment, I
Someone
think
to
that's
hold
a good
on to
point.
where it's not just like a no and there's no promise of like when that's going to happen.
Mhm.
But also like some other practical things that we have in our marriage is you and I are totally free to talk about anything, to try anything. We
Mhm.
do have some guardrails for us, which is like never, it's only between us two. It's never a third party person ever. And also we don't ever include pornography
Yeah.
ever.
That's a third party. It's a different thing. It's not us.
But anything in there though, I'm always like game to do anything. You're always willing to try it. Like we may not like it, but I do think it's willing to also explore curiosities there and to not feel shame, to not feel like, especially if you grew up in like a purity culture, it's kind of like, don't ever until you're married and then, oh, have at it. That shame carries, you know? This
Yeah.
is a gift. This is expression. This is bonding. This is something that's important to do together.
It's kind of like a language too. Like you're
Mhm.
learning to speak a different kind of language or to communicate in a different kind of way.
Mhm.
And it's important to like take it slow, listen,
Mhm.
you know, all of that.
And this is also the one element where like you and I don't share details about this with anyone, period.
Not
Like-
even the podcast.
No, definitely not the podcast, man. But like, I mean, there's no reason this needs to come up with our marriage counselor unless there's like an issue. Like this is also, there's safety in it being a private world between us. Like
Mhm.
no one knows me the way you do. No one knows you the way I do. Like it's such a safe, sacred ground to be expressions of ourselves and to know each other in like a sense of like playing and fun and bonding.
Yeah.
There's safety in that.
Yeah.
There's safety in parameters.
Keeping that marriage as a sacred covenant, you know, it's like, this is a really pure thing, you know, between us. And I think marriage is a great opportunity to sort of, there's a good mirroring that happens when you're with another person, when you're with your wife, with your spouse, that you begin to see things about yourself that, oh, I don't know if I like that. Or, wow, I didn't realize I could do that. Like sometimes it surprises me. I probably have more naturally a negative view inside my own mind, you know, naturally. I've done a lot of things to overcome that and push through it and to be led through it. But there are some moments in our marriage where I felt like, how did that happen? Like when I first melted the igloo, you know, you and you were
With our
sniping.
conflict.
The last podcast we talked about conflict and how you kind of freeze up and then like we'll start sniping through the little hole. And I think one of the early times I learned to like work around that and get to your heart, I was like, how did this just happen? You know, this actually brought something really courageous out of me that couldn't have happened before. And I think similarly, when it comes to intimacy, there's a lot to celebrate there, you know, in being together and loving each other.
My favorite part of the day. Well, this was a weird ender.
Daily.
Okay, let's open up to questions.
Let's do it.
Do you want to go on a like intense one or you want to like
Let's
ease
go for an
in?
intense one.
Intense one. What's your take on sex toys?
Irrelevant?
There's a time and a place.
So, you know, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. I think it's fine if people want to use them. I like go for you.
Great.
I don't know if we
Nice
need it.
question. That's a crazy question.
I asked if you wanted a softball one and you said that
no,
one.
I know.
I think it's great. If
Did
you're
I?
interested in that, go for it.
Do you
That
like
is
the
my-
second
What's the
difficult
second
question?
one? Okay, what is it?
I don't know. You tell me. Like I'm saying the next, because that was a doozy. Caught me off guard there, bro.
Sorry. I tried to give you the offering. Okay. What do you do when like sex feels regimented. Like if you have kids and you have to like schedule it.
Take advantage of it.
Take advantage of the scheduled
Of the time. Yeah, like
Yeah.
don't miss that opportunity. No, with kids, yeah, there's a very delicate window that you can make things happen.
It's less free flowing than pre-kids, that's for sure.
For sure.
But I do think it's important to like it may not ever just happen.
Scheduling is the wrong word.
Okay.
Scheduling is because that's never how it happens. It's never like, okay, 10 o'clock, whatever. It's more of like, what can you be doing throughout the day to, just build intimacy, like little touches along the way, or just ways to not expose yourself.
No,
ways to share yourself, to open your heart, to be connected. And then like the metal in the microwave, I don't know, like we're something where it's like it could catch fire anytime.
Oh yeah. No, I feel like that's
like
important.
You want to create the kindling so the fire can.
It's basically called foreplay is what you're saying. Emotional foreplay and physical.
Yeah.
But it's big though. It's not just like this one act, like throughout the day. It's flirty texts, it's little touches, it's little grabs.
I clean the dishes.
But that does help. I mean, that's so stupid, but I
vacuumed.
I think, okay. Whoa, sexy voice. But I think those little things contribute where you feel taken care of. And then it feels like I'm more freed up and I'm more inclined to have sex.
I'm feeling very uncomfortable.
I know, but it's not an uncomfortable thing.
No, I know.
Actually, it kind of is. Mainly because we're putting it out there for everyone to hear. That's where it feels a little like, whoa. How do you keep things fresh if you've been married for a long time?
Again, I feel like all my answers are the same thing. I think it's the little knowing things throughout the day, throughout the months, like everything. It's like a snowball that builds up. Like I care so much about you that I want to just not constantly be like in that state, but I want to continue, building up this fire that we have, because then it's not just like, sure, sex is great. Maybe it lasts like only an hour or like 2 hours or something.
Whoa.
But maybe it's like, it's an episode,
okay.
right? Whereas, the season is us.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening in our daily lives. And I think, what's the question exactly?
How to keep it fresh.
How to keep it fresh. I think the freshness comes every day. It's so cheesy, but it comes with the natural part of life. Like, am I bringing my best to you? Am I serving you 100%? I'm not perfect. I don't always do it, but that's the thing that keeps it fresh. That drive for me, not just to have sex with you, but to love you, to be with you. And that compounds, it adds, I don't know. It feels like we're 10 years in. I saw this thing about how like the most difficult points of marriage, is it like 4 years, 7 years, the 7-year itch or whatever they call it, and then 11 years. There's all these points where like the professionals or the therapists or whoever, they say that like there's fractures that are common that happen, and we're past a lot of those, and we're entering into the 11th year. What I mean by that is there's so much, I don't know, just freedom in what we have and what we've built, that now 10 years into marriage, it's like we're closer than we ever have been. And I think some of these ideas and concepts have really helped us draw closer to one another and still be individuals and still like connect in so many new ways. So I don't know, to answer your question, I think the freshness comes in just your outlook of life. It's bigger than sex. It's the whole marriage. It's the whole relationship. Like that. It's like the symptom versus the like cause.
Sure.
Right. Like you can have a cough. It can mean a ton of different diseases. Like completely inverse. You could have like a spark, but like what's the fire inside that's like causing those fireworks to happen on different days,
I love
multiple
you.
times a day.
Okay. I love you. And I love your brain though. Cause like, that's so beautiful and so romantic, because I was thinking a different answer to that question.
Answer it.
I was thinking
Concrete.
the invisible text feature is awesome. Friggin' great on iPhones. Like, we always have to warn each other, though. We're like, hey, can I send an invisible, text message or whatever? Because that kind of sucks sometimes if you're around someone.
Yeah.
But there's different ways you can keep it fresh that aren't within these like constructs or parameters. Like, send a sexy text, whatever, go for it. That's how I think you keep it fresh too. I mean, yours is so beautiful and so, I don't know, up in the air. Mine's like granular.
How are the opposite?
I don't know. We're so opposite. You're so romantic. You're so romantic. I'm a little more practical.
Practical.
Sometimes
though, the invisible text, it's like, it could be a message about like Isley's poop or something like that, or daughter.
That's true. That's a real disappointment letdown if it's like not about something fun.
You're like, ooh, oh.
Ooh. Okay. Last question when it comes to this. What do you do when you and your partner have different sex drives and sex needs?
That's a tough one because, even just how it's phrased, it's a need. It's a big part of, marriage and a healthy marriage to be intimate and connected in that way. And I think that patience is really hard, but it's really good in that situation. It also just allows for, I don't know, if it was me, I would think like a different area of my life, I would want that same kind of grace and patience. Like if I don't know, couldn't keep a job or something and bring income, it's like there's a need in the family or in the relationship, in the marriage that I can't bring at the moment. I would hope that there's grace. Or if I went through a loss and I was like super like depressed, going through grief, anything like that, I would hope that for a season there would be grace from my spouse on it. It's a similar kind of thing, I think, with the intimacy that it may just take time and figuring out what clicks and what works. And maybe that if it's not happening on all cylinders like right away, it's not like bing bang boom whatever.
Wow. What was that one? Bingo bango bungo. That one movie.
I forget that movie, but
it was Meet the Fockers.
Okay. But if you are patient in those situations, or no. If you are coming at this situation and you're finding it's not working, maybe that what you're trying is the wrong thing. You might need to just try another avenue to connect a certain way, foreplay, whatever that might be,
Yeah.
The many ways you could look at that, just conversation, even being vulnerable.
I love that,
opens up a lot.
This was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you joining me on this. I'm actually shocked that you joined because
Shocked.
Well, yeah. Remember when we did that game show?
Oh.
I don't have to tell the story unless you want me to.
I'd love to tell the story.
You want to tell it or can I?
You set it up and then I'll.
Okay, we did a game show where my uncle is a contestant. It was during COVID. And so he only brought like 3 people. There was no audience. And we went and the host was like Joel McHale. And we were all there. They were like, be as loud, be as over the top as possible since we don't have an audience.
3 people in the audience. No, 5 people in the audience. 2 for the other contestant, 3
on our side of the fence.
Uncle.
And we were going at it. And Joel McHale was roasting you so hard. He was like, man,
I was
be quiet over there, Aaron.
100%. I was being as loud as I could possibly be in an empty studio with just Haven and everyone.
I know, but he was going so hard. Like, wow, you're so loud over there. Just like being like
pipe down over there, Aaron.
Yeah.
I remember what he said. It scarred me a little bit.
Sorry, but we got in the car and I was like, hey, hon, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how loud did you feel like you were being? And you were like, I was giving it a 10. And I said, it read like a 2. Like you felt you were being so loud, but really it was like, yeah.
Yeah, Justice.
Yeah, Justice, go, man. But I say that because it's like not your natural take to like go to a space like this. So I'm so glad you asked. You're like, when are you going to have me? And I just would have never thought it's something you want to do. So I'm so glad you were here. You bring such a wise depth.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. So overall, I hope this was helpful for couples out there of the first episode and the second one. All of it goes and compounds onto one another, as you'll see, and as even Aaron referenced. Like it's all interwoven. It's all important. But we, Aaron and I, want you to have great marriages. We want you to have like healthy communication. We want you to have healthy relationships to one another and those outside. And there's a ton of resources out there. And there's a lot of conversations to be had. But ultimately, it's you and your partner that are building the life that you're building. And so I'm happy to be building it with you, hun. I love you.
Can I add one thing?
Oh, okay.
I think it's very important that when you're getting married, just to have a person that you can talk to about it, like a professional counselor, because like we've had our guy for 10 years. Before that, we probably were like a year,
12.
2 before even we got married. Like I did some personal stuff, you did some too, and then we kind of like came together. It was just nice to have a safe place to get things out where it's not like you're attacking someone by addressing a problem, and just learning how to communicate, having someone facilitate, especially in the beginning stages, it's like invaluable. So I highly recommend. There's some kind of stigma around marriage counseling, maybe less nowadays because more people are like open about it. It's like, oh, you must have some issues if you're going to counseling. Actually, you have issues no matter what. And like, if you're not doing counseling, you're not dealing with them probably. So it's worth doing.
Totally.
Even if it's expensive, like if you have insurance, find someone who's in your network. If you can't, like at least budget and try and figure out a way to make that happen. At least in the beginning stages. It's
more important than clothes. It's more important than hobbies. Like if you care about golf, you're going to buy the outfits and the clubs and the lessons, but like your marriage,
hobby is bigger than your hobby.
What?
Your hubby?
Hubby is bigger
more
than
important
your
than your hobby. Put that on a t-shirt.
That's a good merch. That's a stretch though. But overall, like invest in your marriage, please. Like this, it'll pay dividends overall. Can't recommend enough. So I love you, babe.
Love you.
Thank you. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Haven the Podcast. Also YouTube, like, subscribe. I don't know what else you do there. I guess share it.
Watch it.
I mean, definitely watch it. And I do Q&As on my Instagram. I also accept long form topic requests and feedback to hello@havenpod.com. But overall, thank you for following me on this journey of just things that we're curious about and things that we're talking about together. And I'll see you on the next episode.